John Wright from Cooter Park Bluey here. The first one we're going to talk about today is about mature cow weight. This is something that's I think a lot of people are talking about in the industry and is a complex and really interesting topic. What I want to start off with is the concept about mature cow weight not only being related to frame size, but also being related to fatness. So the intake of our cows, which is the part that we're most interested in when it comes to frame size, is related to body weight, not frame size. We know 70% of our feed is eaten by the cows within a year in any self-replacing herd. So this is a really, really important fact. So if we've got a 500 kilogram cow eating about 2.5% of her body weight, we know she eats about 4.5 tons of feed a year. A 600 kilo cow, she eats about 5.5 tons of feed a year. A 700 kilo cow, about 6.5 tons. That's a 40% difference between a 500 kilo cow and a 700 kilo cow. You've got to produce 40% more calf weight at weaning to justify that. So if a 500 kilogram cow weans a 250 kilogram calf, then the 700 kilo cow has got to wean a 350 kilo calf to justify the extra feed. Now, fertility is something that's not relevant to us all year round. Fertility is something that we need to think about in that high focus zone that I talk about, that 3 or 4 weeks before joining, 3 or 4 weeks into joining. That is the most important time of the year. That is the profit driving time of the year. That's when fertility really hits its mark. So we call that the high focus zone. You need to be getting everything right. You need to be getting everything right in relation to your bulls and everything right in relation to your cows. So at that particular time, whether a cow is condition score 1, 2, 3, 4 or 5 is only relevant for the 1 and the 2. We don't want condition score 1 or 2 cows at joining time. We know that, and that's obvious. It gets murky then. Does it matter if they're 3s, 2.5s even, 3s, 4s and 5s at joining time? And I'm saying it doesn't matter. What's important is a rising plan of nutrition at that time leading up to joining is the most important thing. So why then would we have those fat cows in our herds? Now I need to specify here, I'm talking about Southern Australian beef herds. I am going to stay in my lane and just talk about what we're doing here. And I think we have a bit of an obsession in the industry about these big, deep-bodied, long, great engine room of cows. And I don't know what that means. I just don't know what that means. A big engine room. Why do we want this? I see pictures of cows that people are boasting about and they look more like hippopotamus than they do cows. So why have that extra weight every month of the year if we don't need it? Because we know that extra weight, all it's doing is eating more grass. Now people in the industry are joining 400, 500 kilo heifers. Why in the hell would you do that? It is a complete waste of feed, pretty to look at, but a complete waste of feed. And as you push those heifers along in their weight as they're growing, it's just pushing them into a bigger size as mature cows as well. So we concentrate on trying to hold back those heifers. If the reason you need big heifers is because you've got calving problems, then fix your calving problems. Don't produce bigger heifers. That might be a bit uncomfortable with some people, but I think it's something really interesting that we need to talk about. So at this particular point, we know that Angus cows are officially the biggest breed in the world out of all breeds. Now, it's all right to talk about breeds. Please don't take offense. I'm a great supporter of the Angus breed, but it's all right to have commentary about them. So the car crash came for all those other breeds because of single trait selection for frame size. And we learnt our lessons from that. Did we? No, each breed just came one after the other and made the same mistakes. Angus is in the same state now. Theirs has come from indexes, and indexes are a fantastic thing. What the indexes had trouble doing was accounting for mature cow size or the costs of running cows in their indexes. It's really hard, and I don't blame anyone for that specifically, but it's tough and we have to get hold of that. So now that we've recognized that those cows are big, there's a big number of Angus cows out there, what can we do about that? And changing frame size and mature cow weight is in the hands of the seed stock producers. They have a responsibility in that area to shift that. Commercial producers, all you can do is pay attention to the mature cow weight EBV or EPD that you're given and try and bring that weight back, and ask your seed stock producers to be recording that trait and working on it to bring it back, because it's got out of control. Now, the other thing commercial producers can do is work on the condition score or the fatness of their cows. Now, again, why carry a fat cow around with you all year round if you don't need to? How do we take that fat off? We can manage our cattle to reduce that. So let's look at a few things that we might be able to do in our herds. One of the most fantastic things that's come with rotational grazing, the bigger numbers, they're packed into smaller paddocks, they soil the grass, they don't denude the paddock, you maintain your ground cover and reduce your intakes of your cows. So, but if you're just consciously thinking about how fat are my cows and how can I hold them back, you'll be starting along that track. So we do that with our heifers and we can do that with our cows. Get away from this part of having big fat cows and big fat heifers to make yourself feel good. So as we've talked about mature cows and learnt the mistakes of that push that went on to chase growth in a single trait selection way, a big stuff up by the seed stock industry, we need to be really aware about not going the opposite direction too quickly. Now, there are some seed stock producers around the place that are going extremely hard on the mature cow weight and bringing it down. Everything is about multi-trait selection. Everything takes time. Everything has a responsibility of the seed stock producers to the commercial producers that as you bring cow size down, you maintain the growth, you maintain the efficiency, you maintain the diversity of markets that you can supply those animals to. So that's really important. Just taking another step, we've talked about the amount of feed of those 500 kilo cows compared to a 700 kilo cow. We are talking a 40% difference in intake. Let's shift that through into the conversation about methane. Those 700 kilo cows are producing 40% more methane than the 500 kilo cows. And so that's a really significant change we can make in our production systems to reduce that amount. But it's really, really important to link that part about methane output, cows, and our production systems, because that's where the majority of methane is being produced. It's from our cows that are on our farms every day of the year, year after year. Anyway, that's Talking Beef. I'm John Wright from Cooter Park, Louis, and we'll see you next time.